Okay, Chair, I can confirm that we're now live streaming and recording.
Thank you, Sue. Good evening and welcome to the virtual extraordinary general meeting of East Devon District Council on the 7th of September 2021. As your chair, Councillor Ian Thomas, I'd also like to welcome viewers of our live stream on YouTube. Could I remind everyone that due to concerns relating to COVID risk, our council has delegated much of its decision making to senior officers for the period to the 17th of January 2022. Consequently, this evening will be a consultative meeting only. However, we will work as closely as possible to normal procedural rules as detailed in our constitution. Where our meeting would normally have decided a matter, it will now make a recommendation to a senior officer. That officer will then take our recommendation into account when making their decision. May I also remind colleagues that the Code of Conduct applies throughout this meeting. We reserve the right to disconnect any disruptive participant. If there's a break in internet connection or a power cut, please bear with us as we try to reconnect. Should we not be successful within 15 minutes, we'll consider the meeting adjourned and reconvene at a later date. As this is a large meeting, it's particularly important colleagues ensure that their microphones are muted when not in use, to avoid disturbance from background noise. If you wish to speak, please raise your yellow electronic hand and wait to be called. Keep points short and do not interrupt while others are speaking, please. Our full agenda is available online at eastdevon.gov.uk. We're now going to start our meeting with a roll call of members. When you hear your name, please unmute your microphone and confirm by saying present. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Armstrong.
Present.
Councillor Arnott.
Present.
Councillor Bailey.
Present.
Councillor Barrow.
Present.
Councillor Bickley.
Present, thank you, Sue.
Councillor Bonetta.
Present. Thank you, Sue.
Councillor Brown.
Present, and I've also got 3 lots of apologies as well.
Okay, can we come back to those, Colin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Councillor Bruce.
Present.
Councillor Cahill.
Present.
Councillor Chapman.
Present, Sue.
Councillor Chubb.
Present.
Councillor Coleman.
Present.
Councillor Desarum.
Present. Thank you, Sue.
Councillor Davey, I think I got your apologies earlier.
Really? No, I'm definitely here.
Right, lovely.
Thanks,
Thank
Sue.
you. Councillor Dent.
Present.
Councillor Faithful.
Present.
Councillor Gardner.
Present.
Councillor Gazzard. I'll come back to Councillor Gazzard in case he's trying to get in. Councillor Hartnell.
Present, Sue. Thank you.
Councillor Hawkins.
Present.
Councillor Haywood.
Present. Thank you.
Councillor Hookway.
Present. Thank you.
Councillor Howe.
Present. Thank you.
Councillor Hughes. Okay. Councillor Ingham.
Present.
Councillor Jackson.
Present, Sue. Thank you.
Councillor Jarvis.
Present, thank you, Sue.
Councillor Johns.
Present, thank you, Sue.
Councillor Young.
Present, thank you, Sue.
Councillor Key.
Present, Sue.
Councillor Lawrence.
Present, thank you, Sue.
Councillor Ledger.
Present, thank you, Sue.
Councillor Loudon.
Present, Sue. Thanks.
Councillor Manley.
Sends apologies will join us soon.
Oh, okay, right. Councillor McCollum.
Present, thank you, sir.
Councillor Miller.
Present, thank you.
Councillor Parr.
Present. Thanks.
Councillor Pepper. Come back to some of these. Councillor Pook.
Present.
Councillor Pratt.
Present, thank you.
Councillor Ranger.
Present.
Councillor Rickson.
Present.
Councillor Rowland.
Present, thanks, Sue.
Councillor Rylance. Councillor Taylor.
Present.
Councillor Thomas.
Present, Sue.
Councillor Twiss.
Present.
Councillor Wibley.
Present, thank you, Sue.
Councillor Woodward.
Yeah, present, thank you.
Councillor Ragg.
Present. Thank you, Sue.
Councillor Wright.
If that's
Oh,
Chris Wright, present, Sue.
Thank you, sorry. Councillor Tom Wright did alert me to the fact that he may or may not be able to get here, but are you in, Councillor Tom Wright, at the moment?
Yeah, he's asked me to give his apologies, Sue.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay. So I just need to check with Councillor Gazzard. Councillor Hughes. Sorry, Colin, is he one that you've got apologies for?
No, I've got apologies for Tom Wright, Ian Hall and Andrew Moulding.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Chris Pepper? No. Okay. Or Eleanor Rylance? No. Okay, thank you, Chair. I think we still call it, I believe. So over to you.
Yes, I think we comfortably core it. Thank you for that, Sue. Agenda item 1 is a revisiting of apologies. I've got apologies here from Councillors Mike Allen, Kevin Blakey, Kim Blocks and, well, Ollie Davey again, who's obviously likes to apologise a lot and still turn up. So you're very welcome, Ollie. And Ian Hall and Andrew Moulding and Philip Skinner. And also from Henry Alderman, Vivian Ash, Trevor Cope and Pauline Stott. Do we have any others that you haven't got, Sue, or haven't already come forward?
I think you've mentioned Councillor Chamberlain, haven't you?
I didn't, but you could add Councillor Chamberlain in if she's not sent hers.
Councillor Manley, who's joining us later, I think. But I think that's it, Chair.
Thank you very much. Move quickly on then to agenda item 2, which is declarations of interest. Can I ask, are there any declarations of interest? But if, of course, during the meeting you wish to make a declaration, please remember to state whether it's personal or prejudicial and exactly what your interest is, please. Over to you, Sarah. Who?
I think if given there's 60 of us, or near enough, if councillors could let us know if they've got a declaration.
Yes, I think, well, bear in mind we haven't got an enormous amount of time scheduled. I think it's okay. Sensible to move on, but if you can let us know by exception, I think that's sensible. Excuse me, agenda item 3. Members will be aware of the recent trial and conviction of a former East Devon District Councillor. John Humphreys has been found guilty of 10 charges relating to the sexual assault of 2 young boys between 1990 and 2001. His 21-year jail sentence, in addition to the sex offenders list for life, reflect the gravity of his crimes. Firstly, and most importantly, I'd like to extend my sympathy and that of the Council to the 2 victims and their families. A large part of their lives has been dominated by unimaginable experience as children. I hope that the conviction and sentence handed down may offer some level of closure. In 2019, an EGM of East Devon District Council awarded the position of Honorary Alderman to Mr Humphreys. This position was established under the Local Government Act 1972 and is awarded in recognition of valued service to the community represented and the Council. As Chair of the Council, recognising Mr Humphreys' offences, conviction and sentence, I do not believe he is a fit person to hold this honour. I've therefore called this evening's extraordinary general meeting to put the sole recommendation that the award of Honorary Alderman be withdrawn from John Humphreys forthwith. If supported, this recommendation will be the first time the award of Honorary Alderman has been withdrawn, further confirming our recognition of the gravity of his crimes. I move that recommendation straight away, please, from the Chair. If any colleagues wish to speak on the specific recommendation only, could you please indicate? And I've got Councillor Eileen Wragg first, please.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, you've made the recommendation. Do you need a seconder? Because I'd be more than happy to second. I'm not sure that's the right term.
Well, thank you for that, Eileen, because from the Chair, I don't need a second on this one. So,
that's fine, but
thank you anyway.
I would like to ask a question. I know that it came to my notice several years ago that John Humphreys was being investigated by the police. Now, that had come from a member of the then ruling group. And I just wondered why his name had been put forward for this honour, which is held in great esteem. My husband, as you know, is an honorary alderman, which he values very much. And if this was known by the ruling group, and I believe that it was, why was he nominated to be honorary alderman of the council? This is quite a serious matter, in my view, and it puts the reputation of our council and its honorary alderman into question, Chair. So I think it is a valid point to make, and I would like to know why, if that was known, and I believe it was, why was he put forward? Thank you.
I'm not in a position to answer that for you, Eileen, as you would imagine, but I think possibly favourite is we'll take that one offline rather than in this meeting, because what I really don't want to do is dilute the expression and the importance of the sentiment to the victims and their families. I think that's the key thing this evening. Councillor Jackson, Sarah.
Many thanks, Chair. I'm very aware that this is something, the bestowing of alderman status is something that's covered by various different legislation, but we don't have a huge amount in our constitution which covers honorary aldermen generally. There's only actually one reference. So I just want to seek confirmation from our monitoring officer that we actually have the powers to remove this. And if that's not something we do have laid out, I would like to make an amendment to your proposal that simply adds 2 additional words to the one point in the Constitution that references this, should members be minded to remove that alderman status.
Sorry, I'm a little confused there. So as far as I'm concerned, there is, I checked obviously before we went into this, that actually there is no requirement, we can do this, and it should be done through the same body that actually bestowed the honour in the first place, that being an EGM of the council, which is why we've used this route, and it will require the same 2/3 majority to remove. That said, just to give you general background, I'm aware that we're also reviewing the Constitution to cover the criteria for the award of the honorary alderman status during the course of this council year. Audit and Governance also has the alderman status on its work programme. And so there is all the different points you're talking about are actually going to be covered off during the course of this year anyway, but that doesn't affect the key element and focus of this evening is to consider the removal of the old honorary alderman status from former councillor John Humphreys only. I don't really want to get involved in any peripheral items or any other items today because they're not specifically covered on the agenda papers. And as members will know, an extraordinary general meeting can only cover one item of business. We can't expand it into other things not included in the agenda papers.
If I may, Chair, can I come back on that one?
If you could do it briefly, Sarah, please.
I can, yeah. It's simply that I don't currently believe that our constitution facilitates us to do this. I suspect there may be general consensus about us undertaking this move, and I just simply want to ensure that the council are acting in a way that is legal and above board. So I wouldn't look to move any second recommendation, merely change the recommendation that's being put forward to alter the one point in the Constitution which covers aldermen, which reads changing the name or the area of a parish and conferring the title of honorary alderman be changed to changing the name or the area of the parish and conferring or removing the title of honorary alderman as being a function of the full council. So that's all I'm suggesting, simply a way to facilitate what's being proposed rather than do anything further.
Yeah, all I question with that is, Sarah, we haven't got any amendments to the Constitution within the agenda papers, and as such I believe it's outside the scope of this meeting. But for reassurance, I did get confirmation from the monitoring officer and the chief executive that we have a perfect right to do this and that the mechanism is exactly as we've set out. So, but we will pick up your other items in subsequent business over the course of the year. I've got next Councillor Key, David.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I mean, I fully support the proposal of the removal of the award, because I think he's made a disgrace of it, and I think it's bad. This is why I've been going on for years that members should have a DBS check every time they actually have applied for the position on the council, and this would then hopefully then curtail anything that happens in the future.
Thank you again, Councillor Key. Actually, again, it's outside the scope of the business this evening, but because obviously it may well come back at a future meeting. Next, I've got Councillor Vicky Johns.
Thank you, Chair. Just a very quick thing. Firstly, a DBS check won't make a blind bit of difference unless you've actually been convicted of something.
Yeah.
So as it was, quite some time ago, it wouldn't have made any difference. The only question that I've got, Chair, is please could we have a recorded vote? Because I think this is a very important point, and it is something that I think we should have a recorded vote on if everyone else is happy with that. Thank you.
I'll second that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, we have a seconder for that. So first thing to do, Councillor Bailey, Jess, is yours a quick point, please, so we can move on?
Yes, it's reasonably quick. I'm very supportive of removing the aldermanship, but I would question whether that in itself is sufficient. And I wonder whether we should be examining our procedures and practices by way of an investigation, because we obviously want this situation to avoid this situation arising again with an aldermanship. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Bailey. Again, I think that will probably fall into the other work that coincidentally is going on in the background in relation to the honorary alderman position anyway, but I'll make sure that's picked up for you. Councillor Arnott, is it brief?
It's very brief, Chair. Thank you. And as leader, I think I just have to back and endorse what Councillor Bailey has just said. Thank you for your cogent reply. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Rowland.
Thank you. Can we move the votes, please?
Excellent. I'm very happy to take that as a second. The first thing I'd like to do, please, is we need a short vote as to whether we're going to have a recorded vote. So again, could we vote using the reactions tab, either with a green tick for yes, we should have a recorded vote, red cross for no, or a waved marigold for an abstention?
Benefit of those watching, a vote is underway. At the moment, Chair, I have 45 voting in favour, green ticks, and 1 red cross against. I can't see any abstentions.
Okay. Well, I think that's obviously the principle of a recorded vote is clearly carried. What I'd like to move then is straight to the vote, and we'll do that through a recorded vote. How do you want to administer this, Sue?
I'll just read everybody's names. and if they can tell me whether they are for or against or wish to abstain. Is that okay, Chair?
Excellent idea. I'll leave it to you. Thanks, Sue.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Armstrong.
For.
Councillor Arnott.
For.
Okay. Councillor Bailey.
For.
Councillor Barrow.
For.
Councillor Bickley.
For, thank you, Sue.
Councillor Bonetta.
For, thank you.
Councillor Brown.
For.
Councillor Bruce.
For.
Councillor Cahill.
For.
Councillor Chapman.
For.
Councillor Chubb.
For.
Councillor Coleman.
For.
Councillor Davey.
For.
Councillor Desarum.
For.
Councillor Dent.
For.
Councillor Faithful.
For.
Councillor Gardner.
For.
Can I just check Councillor Gazzard hasn't joined us, has he? No. Okay. Councillor Hartnell.
For.
Councillor Hayward.
For.
Councillor Hawkins.
For.
Councillor Hookway. Councillor Hookway.
Apologies. For. Thank you.
Councillor Howe.
For.
Councillor Stewart, who's just joined us, I think.
Stuart Hughes. For.
Councillor Ingham.
For.
Councillor Jackson.
For, Sue, thank you.
Councillor Jarvis.
With no doubt whatsoever for.
Councillor Johns.
I reiterate Councillor Jarvis, definitely for. Thank you, Sue.
Councillor Young.
For.
Councillor Key.
For.
Councillor Lawrence.
Absolutely for.
Councillor Ledger.
For, thank you, Sue.
Councillor Loudon.
For, thank you, Sue.
Councillor Manley.
For.
Councillor McCollum.
For.
Councillor Miller.
For.
Councillor Parr.
For.
Councillor Pook.
For.
Councillor Pratt.
For, thank you.
Councillor Ranger.
For.
Councillor Rickson.
For.
Councillor Rowland.
For.
Councillor Taylor.
For.
Councillor Thomas.
For.
Councillor Twiss.
For.
Councillor Wibley.
For.
Councillor Woodward.
For.
Councillor Ragg.
For.
Councillor Chris Wright.
For.
And I think that's it, Chair. Unanimously.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you everybody. I think that's exactly the outcome that we should have hoped for, a unanimous support for the recommendation to go forward, and at the end, hopefully, of a very sad time, sad instances. That brings our council meeting to an end. I'd like to thank everyone, including members of the public, for their attendance. Members, can I remind you that until Democratic Services confirm that the live streaming recording has stopped, you can still be seen and heard, and any comments may be recorded. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.